Hey YouTubers, don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. Enjoy the video. Hey YouTubers, and welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super discussion video, and I'm once again joined by, he's not on my channel nearly enough these days because he's super busy doing his own thing and growing his own channel.
That's a long name. I'm joined by, he's no longer on my channel anymore because he's doing this and that.
I just wanted to give you a proper introduction, whatever. It's like, it's D-Free, guys, it's D-Free, whatever.
That man D-Free. Thanks for having me out, man. It's always a pleasure.
Oh man, I wouldn't be anything without D-Free, so please make sure to go send him some love over on his channel if you haven't already. I'm sure most of you have, but seriously. Anyway, guys, we're gonna be talking about Jiren today. Jiren, the motherfucking Pride Trooper. Excuse my language, but yeah, this guy has been set up as the next big bad, the next big thing in Dragon Ball Super, and I'm wondering, just wondering, in my own opinion, is this guy like even interesting in the slightest? I mean, what have we actually seen him do? We've seen him meditate, look out into like the vast fields of Universe 11, planet, whatever, we don't know the name to. We've seen him basically sucker punch Kale and take out the Universe 2 girls thing, like their heart mind control device thing. And for whatever reason, after all that is said and done, we're supposed to think that this guy is the next big thing, the next big alpha male, the next big person that Goku and Vegeta have to fight in order to get over whatever hurdle they have to get over in Dragon Ball Super. And with all that is, I just feel like, I don't know why I'm feeling like he is just not necessarily that interesting. Especially a lot of people feel like I don't necessarily have a right to complain because I thought Hit was so awesome, and I continue to think Hit is so awesome, but we'll get to that later. I want to hear, D-Free, what is your thoughts and opinions on Jiren?
Well, I think there's a couple layers to this, right? Because I think a lot of casual people, they're just watching it, they're just going to be like, hey, I think Jiren is awesome because, I mean, look, he did a couple like really cool badass things. He sneaks behind Goku, he one-shots Kale, which is how the show wants you to interpret this. That is exactly how it is marketed for you to interpret it. So with that in mind, I think there's a couple of different aspects you have to look at it from. It's like, well, I think Jiren has a cool design, for one, and that is definitely a part of it. I think that Jiren, in and of himself, as a character, from what we've seen so far, would probably be significantly more interesting if he just was anything more than this tournament's Hit. Because honestly, he's playing the exact same role that Hit played in the previous tournament. Not just in the sense that, hey, he's going to be, you know, the next big character, the next strongest guy that Goku has to clash with. They're going to basically put some character in his way for him to, a la Kale, maybe a couple other characters, for him to just basically show off his power against, and all this stuff is going to be played up, talked about, so on and so forth. But, once again, not only from that regard, but from the same perspective as, hey, he's mysterious, we don't know anything about him. And once again, to your point, Hit is a very interesting character, but a lot of that, in my opinion, is in hindsight from what we saw later on. So in that same vein, maybe Jiren becomes more interesting in the future when we learn about his backstory a little bit. We learn about some of his motivations and things like that. Maybe he can become more interesting. But at this juncture, I mean, there's not really anything, in my opinion, that he's done. There's not a single feat or anything, in my opinion, that's really just stands out, because even the most impressive thing he's done so far is knock out a Kale, who was basically going after Goku and so on and so forth. I think she had just eliminated one of his teammates and stuff. Not Goku's teammates, but one of the Pride Troopers. And at that point, he just comes in and he snakes her. He one-shots her out. She's not eliminated, but he basically knocks her away really easily. Everything we've seen him do, and we kind of were talking about this prior to the video, is just kind of like offhanded, out of nowhere. He hasn't done anything. We haven't seen him get into some cataclysmic or however you pronounce that word, big old battle, cataclysmic battle yet with anybody yet. And of course, they're saving that for the Goku showdown. But I don't know, maybe I just kind of feel like it's maybe a little too early to judge him. But I feel like, once again, he would be more interesting if he wasn't this tournament's iteration of Hit from the ground up. They are literally playing up the exact same thing. And to me, it was cool the first time, but I don't know if it's so cool the second time. And it's also a tournament atmosphere. So there's that.
I completely agree with you, and it actually branches off into two different concepts in my opinion. One of which I really want to get your opinion on, but with you're basically talking about Jiren being this tournament's version of Hit, and I completely agree with you there. I feel like he's just kind of silent and mysterious. It's basically the way that Hit was played up in the last tournament. The last tournament had a distinct thing that made Hit way more interesting as the tournament progressed. It was a round by round basis. In fact, it was set up in a way that, like, literally Champa, and I just rewatched it. In fact, they just replayed this episode in the dub version on Toonami this last weekend, whether you watch it or not, where Champa laid out the rules of the tournament, where if you won, you actually have to keep playing. Like, you can't just win and sub out for another person. If you won against someone else, you had to win. It's like pure fighting game rules. Like, honestly, like if you have a team, if you beat someone, you have to keep fighting despite any of your like health problems or anything else like that. That was an interesting kind of setup for that last tournament, and was kind of like different from anything else that we've seen in Dragon Ball thus far, or at least up until that point. So when Hit was on the sidelines, and you're like, okay, Champa and Whis are literally sitting there and not letting Hit do anything. And then we also get to see that kind of side story where he takes out Frost, and you're wondering, who is this guy? What is his power, and how is he going to be utilized in the end of the fight? Like, how is he going to fight Goku and Vegeta going forward? That was really interesting. But there was that artificial time that they set up in that tournament to make you wait to actually see Hit perform. The same cannot be said in the Tournament of Power. In fact, it's almost the opposite. Jiren has been kind of ducking everyone. He's been dodging everyone at this point. If Goku wants to fight him, he literally sicks half his team on Goku. If anyone wants to do it,
what's super prevalent about that? Sorry to cut you off. You know what's super prevalent about that, and what kind of literally epitomizes what you just said? In the latest episode, Topo was like, "Hey, we're gonna run away and replenish our stamina." He literally said that. He said, "We are literally gonna back away and hide, pretty much, to recover our stamina." I mean, it's a valiant thing to do, and it makes sense, but it literally epitomizes what you just said.
Yeah, no.
He's been ducking and dodging Goku this whole time, for one reason or another.
Yeah, and we don't necessarily know why, and it just makes him feel, at least in my opinion, that he's not really living up to the image that they're trying to depict for him. And another person, and you kind of hit the nail on the head, Topo, I think, is also kind of dragging Jiren down with every single time that we actually see him play a part in this tournament and anything kind of revolving around this tournament, because he is the leader of the Pride Troopers. And one of the things we saw earlier on in the whole exhibition match is Goku fighting Topo, and Topo saying, you know, if you could barely beat me, you won't stand a chance against Jiren.
Topo's the one that put Jiren on the pedestal to begin with.
But at the same time, like, Jiren's basically sitting around doing nothing and allowing himself to kind of get involved when one person, and literally, like, it has been twice now, when like one female character, you know, not to really put it out like that, but like one
emphasis on female.
But the point is, like, when one person in the tournament literally decides to take over the entire tournament in terms of their power or strength or ability, he's the one who sits there and sucker punches it away every single time, and you're like, oh man, isn't that badass? But he's not doing anything to basically make himself out to be an interesting character, or even just have any personality outside of, oh, that's Jiren, that's the person that Topo kind of built up at the very beginning of this whole tournament. On the other hand, Topo's the one who's been kind of making himself out to be more of a character this entire time, not only in the exhibition match, but also when 17 kind of interrupted, kind of broke that long tradition Dragon Ball trope about the characters letting everyone around them basically power up into their most destructive forms.
That was great. I love that.
That was so good. But after all that was said and done, even Topo kind of had to come out there, and he was like, no, like, you don't do that. That is really disgraceful, and it's not conducive to fighting and everything else like that. That is a personality I can get behind, because even though it's corny, even though it's played off for laughs, it's like, this guy has a character that's completely different than anything that we've seen before, and actually really kind of similar to the whole Gohan Great Saiyaman concept, which would kind of really indicate that those two should fight at some point. But at the same time, Jiren is just kind of the silent, stoic type that hasn't done anything. He's just kind of looked off into nothingness or sucker punched everyone who's in front of him. And I think that that's like, why are we rooting for this guy? Why are we waiting for this fight? It might be epic, but is he actually a good character? Does he even have the type of personality that Hit had, where Hit's literally sitting there on the battleground screaming at the top of his lungs to power up, even though it doesn't help him at all, because he's literally sitting there mocking Goku and Vegeta?
I don't know how much of this, like I said earlier, I don't know how much of this we can really unequivocally say right now, because we haven't seen him, and that is to your point, but it also is a hole in the argument. You know, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, because we haven't seen him yet, but at the same time, we should have probably seen him. I honestly feel like I agree with you, like I kind of pointed out earlier, but I feel like what they're doing is they're just holding off on this character as long as they can till one epic clash where Goku's going to probably break out a new form. I mean, not to get into anything else, but, you know, a new form and just all this other stuff. And Jiren's going to be put on a massive pedestal because it's going to be a crazy battle and the tournament's going to end there or whatever's going to happen. But I feel like we probably should have seen him do more things at this point. I don't feel like the whole Kale thing is a good feat. They need to have a way to put him over, right? They need some characters to job. And Kale isn't the best example because of the circumstance. So I feel like we'll probably have another couple of instances for him. But as far as Jiren goes, I mean, we hit every point. I mean, he's basically ducked and dodged Goku at every turn. Every time Goku has came close to him, somebody has intervened. Like, for example, the last time Goku shows up, Topo sends him flying. It's like every single chance these two get a chance to interact, something happens. And I think they're just really trying to play it up. And if they're being too on the nose with it, if it's my opinion, which it is, they're being a little too on the nose with it. But hopefully it has a good payoff, is my point.
The last question I really want to ask you, because MJ and I already did a video on this, but I want your opinion on it as well. When do you think Goku and Jiren will actually fight? How long do you think they're actually going to make us wait? Because we just finished episode 102.
I think around 108 to 110.
Yeah. I went a little bit further in that prediction of mine. I honestly think, and a lot of people are going to be really mad if this is actually true, but the way that they've been playing this up this whole time, I mean, there's only 38 minutes left.
Yeah, I was going to say like 5 minutes have passed. In like 6 episodes, like stop it. It's actually like what, 9 minutes, 10 minutes?
It's 9 minutes, yeah. Like 9 minutes have passed in this entire 5 episodes, 6 episode arc that they've done right now. It's interesting. So I honestly think, and it would be kind of cool to have Goku and Jiren actually start fighting on episode 117. Because you got 11 and 7 matched up together. It'd be pretty cool.
You're going to piss people off. See, I have a sneaky suspicion that it doesn't end with Jiren. So I think that they get into the fighting a little bit sooner, which even 108 to 110 isn't necessarily soon, given the pace so far. But I feel like they get into the fighting then. Probably takes about 5 or 6 episodes, and then whatever else happens. Because, of course, there's still the whole idea that there's the Grand Priest and all that other stuff happening. What's happening with the universes. I feel like there's something else going to happen, and they're going to have to break away from this. So I don't know if they even get a chance to finish the fight, but that's a whole other topic. But I think around then is probably what's going to happen. I feel like 115 would be probably too far out, because if you look at it in real world time, bro, that's like, what, almost 3 months, 2.5 months, if there's no break. God damn. Jiren is going to be like the most mysterious antagonist.
It would be really interesting. In fact, it would be super interesting if they make us wait that long.
It would be freaking outlandish.
It would be really interesting if they make us wait that long, and then your opinion seems to be true. A lot of people kind of think that as well. That this is just probably the second part in a 3-arc where you have the whole build up to the Tournament of Power. You have the Tournament of Power, and then you have whatever aftermath that kind of comes with, whether it's the Daishenkan, Zeno, or one of the angels or gods of destruction, or a mortal who's just as strong as the god of destruction.
Some sort of conflict.
Yes, some sort of conflict that we've all been speculating over the last couple months. Whatever it is, grab bag of theories, like I always say. So, pick your one. Pick whichever one you want to actually think about or theorize about. But with that being said, it would be way too much of a build up for something that doesn't really kind of go anywhere. It would even to even the point, even if they fought for like 4 episodes before that, and then you have some kind of bigger situation leading up after the fight between Goku and Jiren, everyone's gonna sit around going, "What the hell?" why did we have to wait for so long for them to actually go head to head? And then the Daishinkan is basically evil the next episode. So I mean, it's really up in the air. But at least in my opinion, right now, I want yours. I don't think Jiren has reached that level of an interesting character, and I really want to jump off what you said earlier about Hit being an interesting character and Jiren basically jumping off of what made Hit interesting at the beginning. I think is really important to talk about.
Yeah, no, that's really what it comes down to, and I would think that he would be a lot better even if the portrayal was the same, if just Hit wasn't the thing. Right, because it's the exact same circumstance. Of course, the motivations are different, the tension and all that stuff that's applied to this tournament's different, but it's still the exact same portrayal. You have this one member on the team, doesn't say much, very mysterious. We don't see him do anything, right? Hit just sits there. He does kind of acknowledge in the first tournament, acknowledge Goku and Vegeta's blue transformation and things like that, but it's Goku basically vying for Hit's attention the whole time. And he's doing the same thing here. He's going hard for Jiren the whole time. And Jiren is like, nah, fam, I don't want you. You know what I'm saying? So it's the exact same thing over again. But then this is why I said earlier in the video that I feel like some of the interest for Hit comes in post like build up, post fight and all that stuff, because we got to see him portrayed in a different light than just being this character that's mysterious. And that's why I said I don't know if that's applicable to Jiren yet. In fact, it's not, but maybe in the future it will be. Because if Jiren just comes in and he's just the same kind of nonchalant guy, I mean, they don't add anything to him. He doesn't have cool abilities. He's not going to be a cool character. He's going to be this guy that had a cool design that was built up and played up the whole time by other people, but just basically underperforms. Which I don't think that's going to happen, but that is definitely a possibility.
I'm just kind of worried, and like you said earlier, it's like, if this is just kind of a build up to show something else, if it's not necessarily all revolving around the whole tournament of power and all the universes being eliminated who don't win the tournament.
No, they're just wasting time. That's it. They're trying to.
If it is wasting time, I feel like people are going to walk away with this being like Jiren wasn't necessarily the big bad of all this, and he's going to lose a lot of his credibility.
But bro, if you look back to the beginning of this arc, the context of this arc, they never even established a big bad. It was Goku, and then it wasn't Goku. Every turn they've got, because Goku's not a bad guy. Zeno was quote unquote going to do this anyway, but every turn they've had, they've taken that pressure off of Goku and said, even like a few episodes ago, they were like, hey, these guys are lucky that Goku approached Zeno with this because he gave them an opportunity to fight. And then even though that's the case, everybody in the Tournament of Power isn't necessarily a bad guy either. So they still don't really have that, which is why there's so much traction to the idea that maybe the priest, maybe somebody affiliated with Zeno, maybe the angels, because none of these characters are it.
Mm-hmm.
And there has to be something like that. Unless it's the exact same thing as the previous tournament, because that was one thing that pissed me off. And you know the funny thing? I don't know if you remember, but I was like literally the first person in our community to say, hey, there's no tension to this. And then everybody else started catching on to that. I was like, no, listen, there's no tension. And then Dino Rhymesell did a video, and then Danny started. I was like, the second I heard about this, there is no tension with this, which is why I think it may be a little bit over the top as far as this tournament goes, tension-wise, because it's like, oh, you lose, you're done. You just don't exist anymore. So
you go from 1 to 60 in like 3 seconds.
Exactly. That's what happened when the previous universe was eliminated. They were just chilling, they were fighting and stuff, and Ro over there cracking jokes, and then just deceased. No more. It's gone. Which is what's gonna happen to Gowasu. It's like Gowasu's gonna be just like, oh, sorry, bro, you can't catch your break, man. I feel sorry for you. I wish Zamasu was there because he would have been eliminated with you.
Yeah, exactly.
Wonder if that would have spanned across the other timeline. Got rid of Goku Black.
Probably not. But
probably not, though. Yeah.
But I agree with you. I agree with you. It's just I feel like the lesson to take out of this is just basically Jiren is playing that exact same role as Hit in the previous tournament, and it just kind of feels over and done with. And Jiren, at least at this point, hasn't showcased anything ability wise or anything to put him over Hit. And the mere fact that Hit is even in this tournament and has already showed off his ability twice now to awesome results, like literally taking out that robot and saving Caulifla from getting eliminated, it's like, dude, Hit to me, and a lot of people bag on me for this all the time, Hit to me is still an awesome freaking character. It's like, he has so much depth in him that we haven't even seen yet, and I just want to keep exploring. But it's just, you know, this is Dragon Ball. We can't really expect one person to get so much more screen time than Goku or get so much more backstory than Goku unless they become a mainstay character like Vegeta did or Gohan did eventually and everything else like that. So anyway, you have any other thoughts or opinions about this when it comes to Hit actually being a good character or a bad character or anything else like that?
No, I think that this is one thing that I was talking about is I think they executed Hit in the right way after it came to, you know, him being just mysterious and stuff. I think that they've executed on him the right way. They've shown him a few times, given him because for example, the fight with Goku, we saw him develop a few different ways. Then the second fight with Goku, and you know, he was sitting there wasn't Hit laughing? Mm-hmm. It's or Goku was laughing or whatever at the end of that when Goku hired him to kill him. It's like we've seen Hit in multiple different lights. So, of course, it's going to be kind of skewered in his direction. So, I don't know. Hopefully, they kind of treat Jiren the same way.
Hopefully, but, you know, with the stakes of this tournament, it's still up for debate. Like, is this Jiren's, one-off? You know, did Hit get more time with him, and that's why we can judge him in a different light or something like that? But that's the type of stuff we want to...
Hit's innately going to have more time with him because he's from a mirror universe.
Exactly. And that's the type of things we want to ask you guys in the comment section below, whether you think that Jiren is a good character or not, and for what reasons. We're going to be looking at those stuff going forward. D-Free, thanks for coming on the channel again. It's always a pleasure to have you anytime you want to be on here, man. So...
Yosh!
Anyway, guys, please make sure to go down to the description section below, and if you haven't already, hit that link. Go see what D-Free has to offer. Some really awesome stuff over on that channel. Way more content than you'll be able to keep up with, so it's really awesome. But not overflowing. I just want to make that clear.
It's overflowing. It's maximum.
D-Free's content is maximum. Anyway, guys, please make sure to go sub to him and show him some love if you haven't already. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Subscribe to this channel and hit that bell over by the subscriber button to notify you every single time I upload. But with that being said, guys, we hope everyone has a good day. It's been real.